to Tea Time with me, and I'm Charlene Singleton. And today we have an awesome show, and we are going to try our best, women, to understand the mind of a man. That might be impossible, I'm telling you already. There's the book that says what men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and I truly believe that is the case. But even as you can learn Spanish and you can learn French, you can learn another language, we might not fluently be able to understand the mind of a man, but we're going to get a glimpse of that today. So I have here some guests with me today. I have my husband, my sweetheart, Pastor Chuck Singleton. He is the senior pastor of our church. We have here retired LAPD officer Earl Williams. And then over to the side, we have Chucky Perez, who is part of our media team. He's pastor of our media team. And even before I go into this, I just want to thank our producer, my son, Pastor Chuck Singleton II. He is our online pastor, and he had a birthday on Monday. So, Chuck, I want to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Chuck.
Birthday, man.
So let's get into the show. And Earl, I think I'm going to start with you.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so this is the question that I want to ask you, because you're a single man.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Chuck has been married for, this Chucky has been married about 24 years.
I'm going on 24.
24 years, okay. So as a single man, tell me, what qualities are you looking for in a woman?
Okay. First, I want to say thank you for inviting me to this tea time. And ladies, if you see me, don't attack me. It's just discussion now. But one of the qualities, my main quality that I'm looking for is I listen to what a lady says, because that tells me that's how her heart is. And whatever comes out that mouth tells me that the heart is either going to be bad or it's going to be good. And I've dated, let me just explain something. I've been divorced now for 5 years, and I've been dating off and on, and some of the things that I've seen in some ladies that I'm dating that I just knew that wasn't right for me. I listened to the conversation, and I listened also the way they act, their actions. And their actions is a big turnoff to me. And I'm gonna go into details later. I don't wanna take a lot of time right now, but I'll go into details what I'm talking about.
We're gonna look forward to that. Okay, Chucky, why Rosie? What qualities does Rosie have that you love? Or like?
I love, yeah. No, besides, I'm going to be straight. She's beautiful.
Okay.
That's a definite. We're men. We're outer. Men are driven by the outer.
Okay.
Women are driven, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, by the inner. That's why a guy can whisper sweet nothings into a girl's ear and have humor and win her over, right? But a girl, gosh, she's beautiful. She carries herself well. I look for character. I look for, when I met Rosie, she was soft-spoken, but she knew who she was. And I look for, confidence, and she was confident, but she was secure in herself, but she was confident, but also she was a lady. I wasn't looking for somebody that was going to drag me, into a restaurant, and you go in a restaurant and say table for two, and I'm sitting there behind her. I've seen those couples walking around. But she had all the qualities that I was looking for. Of course, the big one was, again, she was beautiful. I'm going to mess up your show.
No. Let me explain to everybody, even right from the start. Everybody is giving their opinions, and I love that. And this is not a formal show. I tell you that every week. Every week, we're just inviting you to come and join our conversation in my living room. Okay? This is a setup for you.
Uh-huh.
But what qualities do you like in your wife?
Do I like or was I looking for?
However you want to answer it.
Well, I remember the day you asked me to marry you.
Oh my God. We're going to lay hands on you right now. Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Okay, all right. So, when I talk about you now or I talk about you then, for me, I like one of the things Chuck Perez just said, the lady thing. You once, twice, 3 times a lady.
Sounds like a song.
All right, keep that distance at COVID things.
Okay,
You know,
I won't remember that
yeah.
we lived together. Okay.
But, yeah, so I think, a true definition of lady, Proverbs 18:22 says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. And so it is a spiritual thing to get a good woman, a virtuous woman. And so for me, that's number one. I can't say I was bothered by your appearance. I'm like Chuck in that sense. Chuck, I relate to what you said, how we're driven. So you look good to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I had to, came to the point where I said, you look good to me. Oh, wait a minute, that's a song. Is that in the hymn book? I think I love. Oh, no, that's the wrong song. But yeah, you look good, and you're a lady. You're virtuous. I saw you that way. And for the most part, that's improved. And you've become ever more so a virtuous wife.
All right. Praise God. Now, Earl, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I
Okay.
do want to say something because I'm going to ask you why. So you can be thinking.
Oh,
'Cause
I'm
I wanna
ready.
know, do you want to ever get married and why?
And can I ask him a question too? Not right now, but later.
Okay,
I
yeah,
just-
we're
Don't
just
be
in
the-
the
oh,
living
I just want to
room.
make sure.
Should be your show.
Okay, we're in
Could be the Earl
living
show.
room.
Okay.
You can ask what you want. This is not formal. But women do look at the outer appearance, but there are seasons. When a woman is a teenager, she might be looking, a young adult, she might be looking for the man with the fine car and the guy that looks great. But the older a woman gets, she's looking for a whole lot deeper. And actually, I tell girls a whole lot of times now, marry the nerd. Marry the guy that just has good character.
Is that what you did? Where are my glasses?
Now, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and you are fine to me.
Oh,
I got a
okay.
fine man.
So don't do
Okay.
what she did.
No. Well, but that's not, I didn't marry you because you were fine.
You married
She
me
didn't marry
I
you
was a-
because you were smart.
I
That's
married
what
you
she
because
said.
he had, I
didn't
married
marry
you because he
you.
had fine legs.
She didn't marry you because you were smart. That's
All
what
right.
she's meant.
Okay.
You married
'Cause I was a
because you were
nerd.
good looking, because you were a nerd.
Yeah.
No, okay, just so you know though, you weren't out there trying to get up everybody's skirts. You weren't out there trying to get up under anybody's skirts. And I
Oh.
love that about you. I love the fact that you were a man of God. And that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
So that's what attracted me.
All
Okay.
right.
So,
It's a
Earl,
character. That's what
Ma'am.
okay, so you're
Yes.
single, you're the only single guy up here.
Yes, I am.
No, I'm ma'am.
I said, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So, do you want to get married again and why?
Well, that's a good question. Yes and no. There's a lot of things that I have to think about if I do get married. For instance, that the young lady or the lady has to accept my daughters, my grandson, my family, and I have to accept her family if she has a family. So it's a lot of things that I have to think about. And I've been alone now for 5 years, and I know that a person shouldn't be alone because it's a lonely time sitting in your own place by yourself. So, and I don't want to sin, so I think it's best for me to get married so I won't sin. So, yes, but it's a lot of things I have to think about. It's a lot of things that I have to go through, and it's going to take a lot of work.
Not an easy answer, is
Not
it?
an easy answer, no.
But both of you guys, I had kind of mentioned earlier about drama. Is that important? I mean, is that one of the things that you'd be looking for? Is that something that would make you not get married because you don't want to have to experience the drama that goes along with marriage oftentimes?
Yes, and I'm learning from my experience from my previous marriage that I'm not going to put up with a lot of drama and a lot of pettiness when you don't have to. Life is too short to be angry at the time at one another. And I'm with somebody that's going to be a friend, and I'm going to be a friend to her. We connect together. I'm an active person. I need a lady that's going to be active, one that wants to go out and do things, wants to travel, and those are hard to find right now. So I believe, one day that, God will bring the right person in my life, and hopefully that I won't be blind, and I'll open my eyes. But a lot of things I have to work with myself, but I'm not going to put up with some of the things I had to put up for in my previous relationships.
Okay, were you teasing when you said you wanted to ask Earl a question, or did you really want to ask him a question?
I'm just wondering, who doesn't want to travel?
Well,
No, there's
There's people
Yeah.
who just don't want to travel.
I mean, because
I'm sorry.
a lot
No,
of
go.
a lot of ladies, have pets, and they don't want to leave their pets with someone. And that's a big thing with me.
Yeah.
That the pets, I'm not a big fan of pets in my car. Pets all running around the house and clothing pets, and I'm not a big fan of that. So that's a turnoff to me. And
A pet?
a
is
pet. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but I don't think a dog is a human being. And if you treat them like that, we're not going to connect. So
See, do you want to be the pet? Are you jealous of
I'm
Fido?
jealous. I'm jealous of the four-legged pet. Yes, I am, because I want the attention, not the dog or the cat.
Well, that's awesome, because last week we had some younger guys on the show, and we were asking them the same question. And a lot of women wanted me to get some more seasoned guys. But that's one of the things that all three of those men said. They all talked about the fact that they wanted to be number one. One guy said he didn't even want his wife to have a whole lot of social media people, because he didn't want that many men in her ear.
Yeah.
So
I can understand
yeah.
that.
Okay, so let's go back to understanding the mind of the man in this way. Chucky, because we got a Chucky and we got a Chuck. Got another Chucky out there. You have a daughter, beautiful daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Why? And this could be for any of you guys, whether it's your
Jubilee.
daughter, your granddaughter, your Jubilee. What kind of things would you tell your daughter that she should be looking for in a man?
What I told her is that when that guy comes to the door and asks to take her on the date, that I'm praying the rapture happens before then. So that's what I tell her. She goes, Dad. No, I would hope that she looks. I think if you have a godly home, I would hope she looks for somebody that has the qualities of her dad and even of her brother, her older brother, and that she sees an example. But yeah, I'm always, she's at the stage right now. She's 12, so she's not yet guy crazy. She's loving tennis right now, but I'm kind of dreading that moment. I think also Rosie plays a big part in her life and talks to her a lot about those things. I have more, I think, influence on my son right now.
And answer that question then. What qualities are you going to tell your son, Solomon, that he should be looking for in a woman?
I told him that I believe, call me old-fashioned, but I believe in romance, and I believe that the man should do the pursuing, not the other way around. And if a girl is pursuing him, that's not somebody that you want later, because she might get tired of you and start pursuing someone else. It wasn't created that way. So I said, the other day, it's funny, he was asking me, he says, Dad, I'm kind of waiting, to see if the girl gives me a sign she likes me or something. And I started thinking, I was like, your mom, I said, Rosie never gave me a sign that she liked me. She never did. I saw her first, and I said, who's that? And that's where it started. And then I saw her again. Then I saw her at the skating ring when that was in. And I asked her to skate with me to a slow song. It was a youth meeting, right? Youth group thing. And it was after that I heard her birthday was coming up 2 months later, so I sent her a little stuffed puppy dog and anonymously, and then later I called her. I look back, she never came this way. And so I've instilled in him, I said, you know, the right girl's gonna do that for you. Because he has girls that come out, you know, they're boy crazy. And I said, that's a bad quality. You know, that's a bad, anyhow.
But can I suggest though, Chuck, that it might not be.
Well, hold on to that thought, because I can tell you like chomping at the bit.
It might be somewhat a matter of personality style, because you went to Rosie. What if he's a little bit shyer, more reserved than you? Because, for example, years ago, women in the old days would drop a handkerchief and the man pick it up, that kind of thing.
Right.
Or something like that, and it was like a hint, but it was enough to be a lady, so they weren't being aggressive.
Yeah, maybe a smile or something, but I'm talking where girls are saying,
Okay, but it's
here's
all
my
right
digits,
if she smile. Yeah, not the aggressive. Here's my digits.
Yeah,
But
right. See, there's what I'm saying is I don't even think it's old fashioned. I think I know what you're saying as far as personality differences, but I told him there's gonna be a girl. See, I look back in my life. Sure, in high school, go ask her, go talk to her, or whatever. But I look back at Rosie's the only one that made me go further and want to pursue. There's going to be that right girl because she checked all the boxes. And being in the music industry and touring, girls coming up all the time, for the wrong reasons, especially even in Christian music. And I look back and I'm like, it was a turnoff for me. It's a big turnoff. A lot of guys would say they like that attention. I didn't, because those are the wrong girls. I would say, to the girls out there, if you're looking, there's a right guy, there's patience. You end up with the wrong guy. You end up in the wrong situation, wrong relationship, and you don't need that. I told my son, you don't have to waste time.
it goes back to that
And
passage
then
that I just
I need to
quoted
get Earl in too for a
in
second before he
Proverbs
forgets that
18.
thought.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
In Proverbs 18:22, the man that findeth
Yeah.
Exactly.
a wife. So that idea of who pursues, I think, is pretty well covered in there. He finds her and obtains favor from the Lord. So I agree with you on.
No, you don't just
who
be.
should pursue.
I'm sorry, Pastor Starr. You don't just be a hermit. I would tell the girls, don't just stay. You're not. If you're never in church and never seen, it's not going to come to your door.
Right.
You can be seen and make yourself pretty, and people know, oh, she's single, and so on. But that's the extent of it, and God will have the right person. You'll bump into people. Put it that way.
Attraction. What were you going to say, Earl?
I was going to say, for me, I have a grandson, and one of the things I would tell him is that try to date a lady that had a father and a mother inside the house, because the reason why is the communication is the big part of a relationship. And if the lady doesn't know how to speak to a man, that's going to bring more problems. So try to find a lady that had a mother and a father inside the house. I know that seems shallow, but my experience, it's your relationship will last a lot longer if communication is good.
It's not shallow. We live in a fallen world, so sometimes marriages do not work, but there's still things that you can desire from the experiences that you have had in life that you want for your grandson.
Right.
And so I think that's really good. Even with you and I'm going to go back to this pursuing. Remember when we were dating all those many years ago, we started dating down in Dallas, Texas. But remember, you broke up with me.
Dallas, Texas.
I did what?
So you don't even, okay, we dated in Dallas, Texas. We were working with Campus Crusade for Christ. And remember, we had gone to high school together, but
Just
we
want to make
weren't
sure you get
dating.
that. I broke up with you. It almost sounded like you said I woke up with you.
No.
I just want to make it clear.
No, you broke,
That's
That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a different show.
Okay,
Yeah.
we were dating,
And-
if you remember, we were dating, but we had come down together, and so both of us being from Joliet, we just kind of naturally gravitated toward each other, and plus there was like sparks before we even got to Dallas. there was like a great attraction. But there was a time that it's not like a bad break, but you said you thought that we needed to stop the relationship because you felt like we had just been put together and you wanted to pursue me. And we broke up for like about 2 weeks, and then you totally pursued me after that particular point. And that kind of goes along with that. Yeah. Okay? Are you getting ready to say something?
No, I'm just going to say that I'm glad we got over that 2 weeks. I don't remember it, but I'm happy that it's over.
The 2 weeks.
The 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not the, you know, we.
Right.
Okay.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah.
I know I said that I would tell my grandson to date a lady that had a mother and father inside the house. I just want to make it clear, I didn't leave or I didn't get my divorce until my 2 daughters were grown. So don't look at me and think that I left before my daughters were grown when I left. I just want to clarify that.
Because I don't know if anybody thought that. I didn't, but that's why we're here. So
That's
you get
exactly
mixed
what
up.
I was thinking. No, I'm messing with it.
Can I speak into that? Because while I understand that, let's say that's the easiest and the best crowd to pick from, those that have mother and father at home, although, you know, sometimes they might be in the same house and not doing that well.
Right.
But that eliminates 60% of all the girls, because only 40% have a mother and father at home. And sometimes mama's doing a really great job by herself in spite of, and sometimes daddy, but in spite of the fact that they're divorced.
Right.
And so I would say that's a quality that my view, not going to insist on it with you, Brother Earl. Mm-hmm. Earl, by the way, still does. He drives me a lot of times when I go into LA and in Watts. And I was wondering why the first few times he took me down to, it was Watts, right?
It was Watts, yes.
And I'm getting ready to speak, and everybody, a lot of people knew him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how come all the gangster-looking people knew Earl. Anyways, because he was LAPD, that was his beat.
Right.
But I would strongly say, or not strongly, but I would say there's another few qualifiers. Like the Lord Jesus himself grew up in a single-parent home, right? And of course, he had some great advantages, but he also had sisters and brothers who didn't have those divine advantages, who were probably very good people. And I've got a number of friends, some of whom you know, who grew up in single-parent homes. So there often are good people who don't have the benefit of two-parent homes.
Well, I think I was speaking more of communicating or talking back to a male.
Okay.
You know, how to talk to him without yelling and screaming and you know, saying things that you can't take back. That's more where I'm speaking. I'm not saying that a lady can't raise a child, but I'm just saying that communication, the way you talk to a person, where you talk to a man.
I think that's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes daddy died.
Yes.
You know, something like that might have happened. Excuse me,
Right.
John.
And seriously, it is still, it's a good standard for children to grow up in two-parent homes. Now, that's not always the case because we do live in a fallen world and et cetera, but they do get the opportunity to see that there is conflict in marriage, but they get a chance to see the picture of the marriage of Jesus Christ and his bride. Jesus says, I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you. So they get that opportunity to see that you could have conflict and still love each other.
Yes.
Like my mom and dad, seriously, my mom and dad fought a lot when I was growing up. But I'm gonna tell you, I never walked in their bedroom in the morning to get lunch money or something that my dad wasn't just hugged up with my mom, ever, in all the years. So even though they fought, I knew that they still loved each other, and that's just one of the things. Go on.
And you learn what not to do.
Exactly.
You know,
I think that's what Earl's saying.
you can take some examples of what not to do. Like I want to do it different. Just because they came from a broken home doesn't mean their next relationship or their marriage is going to be broken as well.
That's true.
They can
That's
learn
true.
from I don't want to be that way. I want to do things different.
That's true.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question.
Sure.
And this is going to be a short answer because I can't believe how fast time goes. How much, all of you guys grew up in a home like your dad, with your father.
Yes.
How much are you like your dad? What qualities did your dad have that you now possess and exhibit in life? Anybody?
Wow. You want to start? I got to think about this.
Yeah,
one.
I'll start. You know, my dad is very affectionate. In Spanish, they call it cariño. He's a big love bear. You can hug. He hugs and hugs and hugs, and he got it from, I think, from his father as well. And so, I love hugging on people. You know, so when I met with Rosie, you know, we started dating. I was a big hugger. You know, and Mary, big hugger, and she came from the opposite. And
Okay.
so it was like she would freeze in the very beginning, and she told me later, we laugh about it now, but I've passed that on to our kids, that they're just love bugs. You know, I just want to keep that love, and they can always, a hug is always there. So it's like I get some of that, and of course, other things from my dad would be to be a provider, you know, his character, you know, wisdom, so on. But I think a lot of it is just love, you know, just hugging, keeping that.
How are you like Poppy?
Can I throw one more on him that he's like his dad first?
Yeah, you know
His dad is very reflective. He thinks about things, and Chuck is that way too. He's a drawer. You know, he draws pictures in his mind and does stuff. And I think the creativity that he shows, both in music, in comedy, are things that have passed on from your papa.
Yeah.
How are
Now,
you like Poppy?
How am I like my papa? Well, I think I probably got my deliberate style from him. Kind of like what I said about Chuck and his papa, who's also a pastor. He's PK. But probably my tendency to think a thing through and move rather deliberately and slow on some things are from him. Yeah. So I got my sense of humor from him. His name, Isaac, means laughter. And you would laugh all the time around our house because he had jokes. He only had about 5, but he kept telling them all the time. And so by the time he gets to the 5th time on the 4th joke, you're laughing because he keeps telling the same joke. But, you know, he was just always full of humor and always fun to be around. And I kid, he had a lot more than 5 jokes. I think he had 6, but no, he had good jokes, and we laughed, had plenty of fun.
And you
but
know
I
what?
got that from him.
And it's something that you said was like us. His dad laughed at everything. He used like jovial. My dad was totally the opposite.
What you keep doing.
Yeah, my dad was totally
Serious, real serious, yeah.
We would even be watching comedies on TV, and we would be telling my dad, we'd be cracking up, and he would just be sitting there. And we would be saying, Daddy, you know you want to laugh. But I admired my dad a lot. So when we got married, one of the things that this irritate me about him, I'm so much lighter than I used to be.
Right.
But because everything was a joke. And he would have me believe in some of the most crazy things in the world. And then he'd look at me and he said, you believe that?
But that was part of the attraction too.
Well, you know,
He
like
made you
I said,
laugh.
he made me, well, honestly, I love that about him. Seriously, what attracted me to my husband was his love for the Lord. That's the number, and his legs. But, but his love for the Lord was like number 1 in my life. What about you, Earl? How are you like your dad?
Well, I was thinking about, I wish I was kind of like my dad, because growing up, my dad, he had the personality that he took a lot of stuff from my mom in my eyes. And I say that because I remember when I was a little boy, I used to say, Dad, why you let mom say this or do this? And he says, boy, when you grow up, you'll understand. But I never learned that when I was married, I wish I would have been like him, that how to be patient and how to forgive things and don't hold grudges. So basically, I'm not like my dad, and I wish I was. and because they're still married now. And I wish I would have learned this sooner to be more like him instead of myself, because myself didn't work out too good. But my dad was a practical joker, and I got that from him. I like to joke a lot too.
Okay, I want to ask a serious question, a more serious question, a deeper question. Why do men stray? Stray. Why does a married man sometimes stray out of his marriage, even if he stays there? What causes that? Is that something? Well, and I can even turn that around. What turns a man off? What are some of the qualities? Let's do this question. What are some of the qualities?
I'm glad you switched questions.
Yeah. Okay. What are some? Are you a counselor? You counsel.
Yeah. Go
All
ahead.
of you guys have counseled guys. But what qualities, or I shouldn't even call them qualities. Whether dress, attitudes, actions. What turns a man off with a woman? And you actually said something earlier when we were waiting for the come on. What were you saying?
Well, what turns me?
Wait a minute, turns her off?
Turns a
him-
man off
off.
because of something that a woman is doing.
Okay,
Whatever.
and therefore makes him stray, or? is
No,
that what you're
let's forget the stray first. Let's just say what turns a man off. Let's go there.
What turns me off? I think the biggest thing is when a lady tells me she's a God-fearing woman, but her actions are different. And that right there is a big turnoff to me, because I'm looking at this person like, how can you say you love God and you're doing, or you calling me all kind of names that is not my name? So that's a big turnoff to me, that, somebody can, say they're a God-fearing woman, but they're acting a certain way. Even I understand that men make women mad and we make them do things, but still, you have to, if you love God, some of the stuff that comes out your mouth shouldn't be coming out. So I know I'm gonna get beat up on
you
that.
were telling me this before the show. That's one of the reasons why you've dated and you stopped dating different girls, simply because.
Real quick, I got a real quick story, and then I'm gonna let you talk. I went out on a date. Well, actually, I was with a friend, and we already planned that we were gonna watch a sports game, and I told my friend, hey, I have a girlfriend that's coming here to watch the game with us. And he says, cool. I said, when she comes, she's gonna sit right here and you have to move over a chair. And he says, fine. Well, my back was towards the front door. And so when she came in, I didn't see her. He saw her and he jumps up and he walks away real fast and he says, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. So the next day, I talked to him. I said, hey, why did you leave like that? I didn't even introduce you to the young lady. He said, when the young lady walked up behind my back, she looked at him. She gave him a look like, get up out of my seat. And right there, that turned me off. The next day, I told her, hey, this is not going to work. And that's what I'm talking about, that attitude. I can't deal with the attitude.
Okay.
I just gave me a whole picture there. My turn?
Yeah, you talk.
I'm going to get beat up.
I'll just give you a rundown list. Drama,
Okay, drama.
arrogance,
Okay.
and yet also insecurity. Usually those come from insecurity. The arrogance sometimes comes from insecurity. That's a turnoff for me.
Okay.
And I love about Rosie, and I've told her this before. I said, it's attractive to me when you're confident. She's not arrogant ever, but when she's confident. When a girl starts doubting the way she looks, and I don't feel good in this, and she doesn't feel attractive herself, that's a turnoff.
That's good.
That's a turnoff. And so if I'm telling you you're beautiful, you're beautiful. That's all that matters. To me, you're beautiful,
What would you say, sweetie pie?
What he said. Press rewind. Listen to Earl.
You gonna get beat up? You gonna get beat up with
right.
me?
Well, first, I'm going to answer your question about when guys stray or when a husband strays.
Thank you.
Real quickly, it's a three-letter word, sin. It ought to be understood as that, because the question almost frames itself to want to blame the wife and or something else, how they're getting along, the relationship, et cetera, et cetera. I've seen people who were getting along good, and somebody fell. And the fall is not because of necessarily, it might be, but probably not because of relationship, it's because of sin. A good example of that in the Bible is Hosea, who, with all that he went through, his wife was always running the streets with other guys, and he'd go get her and bring her back. As a prophet of God, as a man of God, he kept being a man of God in spite of his wife. It hurt. He even named his children after the pain that he felt. So there's a simple thing called sin. And here's what to understand, that a wife can satisfy love, but she cannot satisfy lust. And so this guy that's stuck on stupid with porno is dealing with that kind of stuff. May not be porno, but if he's dealing with porno, his wife can't satisfy that. He needs to rebuke that and get out of it, maybe get some counseling and get in the right spirit. But that kind of lust cannot be satisfied in the marriage bed. It's just, she's just another woman for him when he's filled with lust. If he's filled with love, then they grow in that relationship, and he grows in his understanding of who she is. So that answered that question. But in terms of, what was the second one? It was, what is a man?
Well, I want to say something about what you just said, and then what turns a man off. Now I'm about to forget my thought. I forgot my thought.
All right, so I'll deal with
Go
what
on with
turns
that,
a man's
and then
off.
I'll write
I was
down.
just,
All right.
Pastor Sharp, it's okay. I think, as far as why men stray, Pastor nailed it. It's sin, but it's an undisciplined life. That's what it is. When
That's
you don't,
good.
Because, I was talking to my son about love. I was telling him, there's no such thing, and Rosie and I were talking about this last week. I said, you literally can, you say fall in love. You can make yourself fall in love with virtually anybody. I'm a firm believer. It's my soulmate. Because if that was true, you hear these marriages where somebody passes away and they meet someone else and that's their soulmate. So there's no such thing. I just don't believe that. I believe that God has someone for you, and if you're pursuing God, you'll meet that person, and then you'll fight for that relationship. You'll both work at it. It's like I look back. I said, Rosie and I, we've had we've had all ups and a few downs, in the beginning. But I look at her and I said, we fight for what we have. We work at it. There's a disciplined life for me to say, I only go, I like candy probably too much, but I only go to C's Candy. I don't need the other candy out there. I got my candy. This is my favorite. This is it. It's a disciplined life.
That's discipline. That's good.
To just say, this is my wife. This is who God gave me. And I cherish her. I love her. And she's, like that song says, she's every woman in the world to me.
I love that, and now I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something.
I was just
about,
giving you time, see?
No, thank you, thank you. Okay, because there is something about a woman who is confident in herself. Okay, there are always, like I said, we live in a fallen world, and I guess we only have like 5 more minutes, but we live in a fallen world, and I don't care if your man is handsome or ugly or a bum. There's going to always be some woman out there that might look at your man. You have to be confident in yourself and know who you are. You can't be jealous over everybody. But I remember I told my husband that if I felt like somebody was prayer, and then I would wear him out with kindness, and then I said, and then I'd wear you out in the bedroom. And so you would have to be, I mean, seriously, sometimes people just need some wise counsel.
Tea time.
Huh?
Tea time.
Where's our tea, by the
That's
way?
the older women
we need
teaching
some
the
tea.
younger women.
What's in that tea?
What's in that tea? That's the tea.
Aphrodisiac
That's
of
the
some
tea of wisdom.
Yes.
The age of wisdom, because we've been married for 47 years.
Yeah.
We've had some ups and downs, but we've gotten
We're
closer.
about 5 years old. each.
Well, no, I remember I
But the
was 3 and
reality-
you were 4.
The reality is that sin can enter into any relationship. That disciplined life point that Pastor Chuck Perez just made is an important point, that disciplined life. Because you cannot be faithful to someone because they're so great all the time.
Right.
Because nobody's great all the time. You got to have that disciplined life that Chuck was talking about, that says, here's who I am. And my faithfulness to you is not because of you, because sometimes I get mad at you.
Yeah, we do.
Or disappointed is more like the word. But my faithfulness is because I'm faithful to God.
Yes.
Okay.
So because of the faithfulness to God, disciplined life,
It's like, Pastor, that, you
I'm
know,
gonna ask some
that
questions too.
triangle.
when I'd share about marriage in the past, it was like a triangle. God at the top, and you'll know real quick who's not pursuing God in a relationship because of their undisciplined. They're not disciplined to keep.
Yeah.
Because if you're pursuing God, both of you
Thank
meet
you.
you meet here.
You're going to grow.
And so you'll find
Yeah.
easy. A lot of times marriages don't work out because someone stopped pursuing God.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautifully
That's
said. And
great.
the closer either of you get to God,
Right.
the closer you get to one another.
You can't make somebody. You can think, and this is for some single people out there.
That's
you
me.
can think, you can think, oh yeah, she's a believer, but you're pursuing God, and you're going, okay, she's a believer. I think you're just seeing she's hot, hot. But she's a believer. But you find out later, and it doesn't work out. Is she never was really pursuing God, maybe like you were pursuing God,
Right.
or vice versa. So it really is. It is that. It's pursuit of God.
What were you going to say, Earl? Because we got like 3 minutes.
I got a question. It's kind of off the subject, but
Okay.
I would like to know, maybe you can answer this. Why do 99.9% of the women on their profiles, they put that they're looking for somebody to make them laugh or have humor? And to me, that tells me that this person is unhappy. Because if you got to have a man to make you laugh all the time, then you're unhappy, and that's a turnoff. I just like to know, why is that?
Well, I actually talked a little bit about this either on my Facebook. I do a Facebook live Bible study every day from 12 to 12:30, 12 to 1. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then Tuesday, 2 o'clock Tuesdays. But I think it was yesterday I was talking about marriage, and I said happy people make happy marriages. So a man can't make you happy, a woman can't make you happy, but I think that's a wonderful quality that a man can have, that you have humor together, that you could laugh together. Like I was saying, my husband has a lot of humor. I started off down here. Now I'm like way up here. I could come back with a great humorous answer right now. So I don't know if that answers that. It's probably way deeper. But a lot of that comes from movies. You see that on movies all the time when women have their list. I want a man that can make me laugh.
I think that's a plus, brother. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
when
it
they,
is, but-
they're not
but
saying
it's-
that's a good thing. Is they're saying, oh, I just want a good-looking guy. He's got to be, whatever. But if they're saying make me laugh, I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, but it's like,
They have a sense of
it's
humor.
like maybe I'm misunderstanding the question, is because I'm thinking that you always want somebody to crack a joke or make you laugh all the time because you're on it.
I think you're taking it
With a serious prayer life.
Right.
Someone who's in church, but not first. Those are like, come before that. They love God, they're pursuing God, and they're in church. Because you might find that hottie who goes to church, and she's just looking for her hottie
Right.
Yeah.
more than the Lord.
Yeah, my husband used to tell me when we were dating all the time, when we got married, he says one of the reasons he married me was because he had to run to keep up with me spiritually.
Right.
Because I had an insatiable hunger for God. And we are out
Wow,
of
I
time.
have something to say about that
Well,
too. But
you want to say it real
no,
quick?
No,
We have 1 minute.
it's too long. I had to bring back past experience about. I'm not going to even mention
Okay.
now. I'll be
Well,
at the
No, he got
next
it.
time.
You must, for your
Okay, go up.
sake of the-
He controls the time. Okay.
But no, I was just going to say, my ex-wife, and I know I shouldn't bring this up, but, she was in the church and everything, and she fell out with somebody in the church, and she stopped going. And that's probably what drew us apart from each other. So I was just going to say, that's why my statements before, when I say a lady that tells me she's God-fearing, I have a problem with that because I cringe when I hear that.
Stop having problems, though.
I'm
Yeah.
trying, I'm
And that's
learning.
when I say lower your standards, that's what I mean. Don't have things that you have problems with. Because in most cases, what needs to happen in relationships is that we need to learn how to tolerate one another.
Right.
And that things are not going to be perfect.
That's right. I understand that, yeah.
Well, with you, the nice thing about you, see, we're married, he's married, so we learn how to live together. And there's going to be some things my husband doesn't like about me,
Right.
vice versa. Some things will change, some things will always be the same. But see, you're single, so
Right.
you don't have to marry anything that you don't like.
That's right.
You can keep those standards that
Picky.
you want, and they might keep you single.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah, it might keep you single too.
They might keep you single.
That's right.
But those are your standards. You know what you like,
Right.
and so that's
That's
a
your
good
call
thing.
if you want to be alone the rest of your life.
Hey, I'm looking for that rare lady.
Okay. So I think the bottom line is what
The
you
rare,
said.
he brought it up. He said it. That rare lady. He said it.
Rare,
Yeah.
uniquely made for you.
Yeah.
Uniquely
Right.
made for you.
Right.
And yeah, there are some situations where a lot of people leave the church, and that's a whole nother subject, which we'll talk about one day. Okay, so we are out of time. I want to thank my husband, Pastor Chuck,
Boy,
my
you have been
sweetheart.
whooping on my shoulder all
I
evening.
know it. I just, okay, now I don't have to keep beating on you. Okay.
right, you may.
And I want to, thank you. And I want to thank Earl.
Don't beat me up, ladies. Don't beat me up.
He's available, but you got to be a rare gem.
Earl, you got a
Rare.
website we can.
No,
send ladies to?
I'm not giving it out.
And I want to thank you, Chucky. Thank you guys so much for being on this. I hope, ladies, it helped you understand just a little bit about the mind of the Lord. And we are out of time, but there might always be somebody, you've never received Jesus as your Savior and Lord, and that's the bottom line. Okay, so if you've never received Jesus, I'm going to pray a quick prayer. Pray this prayer after me. Make this prayer your prayer. Lord Jesus, I need you. I open the door of my heart, and I receive you as my Savior and my Lord. Jesus, thank you for dying on the cross for me. I ask, Lord, that you would forgive me of all my sins. Jesus, please come into my heart, take control of my life, and make me the kind of person you want me to be. Amen. So
Amen.
we'll see you again next week on Tea Time. Bye.